Testing, testing. I hope the audio is okay tonight, guys. Don't want to have to reboot again, and we've had some technical difficulties as of late. But anyways, welcome back to the live cast. Thanks for joining me here on my channel. I'll be your host for the next several minutes, Stephen Sturgill. We are, yes, looking not again at a tobacco-based scent. That would be normal for this channel. We're looking at a leather-based scent. One that is from a very popular designer house that often produces niche type scents that could smell like niche or independent, but sadly or not. We'll touch on the sadly part later. This is the box. That's the guy right there. John Varvatos, Dark Rebel Rider, or Varvatos. Nice little box. It has some textural embossing on the side, sort of just pressed in, and that's carried throughout. I don't know if the camera can, yeah, you can see some of the texture. Is it texturing, I guess? Yeah. Anyways, whatever, that's the box. Whoopty-doopty. This is the real bottle, this cute little leather pouch jacket, whatever you want to call it. And so the little bottle sits in there nice and snug. You can zip this down and expose a still beautiful but rather plain black bottle. And it does say Dark Rebel Rider there. John Varvatos, whatever. We know, and you know if you've checked out Mark Robes08 channel, shout out Mark from Canada. I think he lives in Toronto or close to it. He has a love-hate relationship with the house of Varvatos or Varvatos. Loves it in the sense that there are just 2 or 3 scents that he really has more or less given pretty strong full recommendations on, and the rest he either just pretty much flat out blows them off, poo-poos them, or may say something. The kindest thing I think he said for some of those scents are, well, if the smell stuck around longer than 2 hours or an hour or even 30 minutes, he'd probably be heartily recommending those scents to some extent, or at least giving them an affable pass. Okay, so let's just get into the notes, and then we've got some things to cover. This dropped back in 2016. The nose is one of my favorite designers' noses in the business. It's Rodrigo Flores Rue. What an incredible perfumer, but I digress. Top notes, you're going to get bitter orange, aldehydes, saffron, marjoram, and hyssop. In the mids, orris, osmanthus, black violet, rock rose, olibanum, resin, tolu balsam. And finally, in the base, you're going to get Russian leather, cacao, vanilla, atlas cedar, patchouli, and woody notes, whatever those are. Now, first things first, this is on the surface a really easy to wear leather scent. Yeah, I mean, sure, there's lots of other notes in here, but you know what I'm saying? When you make leather the quarterback, that's American football analogy, or the, I don't know, some kind of lead kicker in European football, you know, the all-star. If it's basketball, it's either a super studly point guard, or it's that flashy small forward, maybe point forward guy that just controls defenses, absolutely instills the fear of God and men. When you make it the main star of the show, there's a lot of ways you can go with leather. You can make it extremely animalic, almost to the point of puking. Kind of kidding, but just, like run and hide the women and children, run for the hills. You can make it not that strong, but yet quite strong, like a rawhide smell, that raw, dusty leather. You can make it like a handbag, inside a handbag, glossy, sheeny, slightly rubbery, so almost plasticky, and with a little bit of that lipstick smell. Or you can even give it a really light, shimmering, just very chic, sheer, sensual leather, like nothing offensive, just very lightly animalic. But it's clear that's leather. It's still very, very clear that you're dealing with leather. That is the kind of leather that is present here in Dark Rebel Rider. Now, there is a little opening hint of animalic, but overall, this wear is very light, and it's easy to wear. You're not going to offend people with the scent. It smells classy, sensuous, sensual, sexy, sophisticated, gentlemanly. Although I think really, let's be quite frank, although it says for men, let's get real, people. This is unisex. End of story. I don't want to hear it. This is unisex. Any woman today basically could easily rock this scent. I guarantee that. But okay, so I will say this: the opening is really good. It's nuanced. It's dimensioned. It has layers to it. There's quite a bit going on. It's expertly blended. I don't think any one note really, really stands that far above or below most of the other notes. So it really, really is expertly balanced. But, huge but, if the opening would push A, much harder, or at least a bit harder, B, if the ingredients had just a little more high dollar sizzle or just richness to them, right? Like just pulled off a significantly higher olfactive tier. And then thirdly and mainly, here's the crux of the situation, guys. This didn't noticeably get me past 3 to 4 hours tops. Now, am I saying it disappeared entirely off my skin? No. Was it still present on my clothing? Check, yes. But could I really easily smell this scent past the 4-hour mark? Negative. I could not. And in fact, sadly, by the 5th hour, I asked my brother, I said, can you, and I went up close to him, said, can you smell me? What, did you like that? Are you smelling anything? He said, and I quote, smells a little bit like gray flannel, but in the deep dry down where it's not so obvious anymore. That's not exactly a resounding victory call to arms or whatever for this scent. It is a wonderfully easy leather-based scent to wear. It's wonderfully cheap. You can pick up I think these are 120 mils, if I'm not mistaken, these bottles. 125. Yeah, it's 4.2 ounces. Guys, you can pick this up right now for as little as $29 or less off sites like eBay, FragranceNet, Fragrance X. I think their listing is just slightly higher at $32 and change, and so on and so forth. So, I mean, I think if you look at it this way, this used to be a $100 frag, full MSRP. No one really sold it at that. I think it did sell right at the initial drop from the department stores, maybe in not Barney's, but somewhere in New York, Chicago, LA. It may have sold for between $85 and $95. I don't think anyone paid a full bill for this, but to go from even, let's say, $80 to $29, $24 delivered to your door, no taxes if you're out of state, I think it's a sweet, sweet deal. I do like the design of the bottles and these little jackets that they wear, but I think it's a fine scent. The opening is easily its strongest suit. And if that opening was amped up and could stick around for about 6 to 8 hours, this would easily go toe to toe with $300 frags easily. But because of those shortcomings, unfortunately, it doesn't, and it never will. At least not this version. So that's my take on Dark Rebel Rider. I like it, don't love it. I wish the performance was way, way better than what it is. At least on my skin, again, I really didn't get past 4 hours with this. And I'm going to be quite honest, after the second hour, it was already beginning to fade dramatically quickly. And again, by the third hour, it was there. It was mainly just a strong skin scent or a very, very mild scent bubble. That's about it, and that's about all I have to say. Again, expertly blended, wonderful opening in general, but yeah, just very, very little true push power and not a whole lot of staying power, unfortunately. Let's see if I've had any questions or comments tonight. Come in. I'll be glad to take questions now, comments, or suggestions, or if you guys would like fragrances that I've not yet covered on my channel, I would happily entertain some of those ideas. Jerry D says that Dark Rebel is the best in the line, and you're so right, it is weak. Yeah, Jerry, I would beg to differ. I'm more of a tobacco guy, and I really, really like that signature tobacco-based scent from the house of Varvatos. I can't think of it right now. It's been a long day, but that's my personal favorite. Also, really like the oud. I forget the exact name. It's something oud. I like those quite a bit better than I like this, but this is excellent. But oh, I'm sorry. Are we talking about the same fragrance? Is Dark Rebel that the is that the tobacco-based scent? It's been a long day here, guys. Bear with me. Let's see. Yeah, click the wrong one. Get on back. Ah, yes. Yeah, I'm sorry. My bad. It's been a long, long day. Absolutely apologize. Yes, I agree. Dark Rebel, for me, and obviously for you as well, Jerry. Sorry about that. Yeah, it's the tobacco-based scent that there is one other that's much older that I think has tobacco in it. I think that's vintage or something like that, or one of those other ones, I believe. Could be wrong, but at any rate, I think that Dark Rebel is just so much richer. It's so much more pungent. It lasts on my skin a fair amount longer than this did. I'm not going to say it lasted like 12 hours or what have you, but it lasted way, way longer than this. And a lot of his aquatics also do not last much past 2 to 3 hours for most people. If you get four, count yourself blessed, because most people don't even get it to the fourth hour. Yeah, I'm sorry again, Jerry. Dark Rebel to me is about the best offering from the house. But again, I also was my brother or someone recently cleaned up in here and straightened out. So I don't know where all my bottles are at the moment, but if you watch my channel, you can rewind and watch my take on. We recently looked at JV and NJ or XNJ. That's Nick Jonas. I have not yet looked at the blue bottle. We looked at the crimson, which honestly I gotta say is a pretty darn good Dumb Reach fragrance. Really interesting little cheapy. It's got the coffee note in there. For me, was hardly present. I was very disappointed in just in that one aspect. Really, really worthwhile scent checking out. But I will say that again, the opening for that was far better than the long finish. The developing opening phase was quite decent to very good. But the after that, as it began to fade into what I call the long dry down, that was merely okay. It was absolutely nothing special. It wasn't bad. It wasn't offensive. Still a little bit sexy, a little bit nice smelling, but just didn't really do anything for me at that point. Opening was quite good. So I think you guys might want to check that out. see how it works for you. My skin just sucks up fragrance like it's going out of style, unfortunately. But some of us have more oily pH. At any rate, so very cool. Jerry says that he'd like my take on Roberto Cavalli's Uomo. It's a 30 frag, but I hear great things on it. Very cool. Yeah, I think I have only maybe one Cavalli fragrance, if I have one at all. Definitely been meaning to get my nose in my grubby little paws and some of the Roberto Cavalli stuff. So I may check that out here down the road. That's gonna do it, guys. We're gonna wrap a little bit quicker than normal. I've got a few things to catch up on, but it's been a pleasure. Thanks, Jerry, and for other silent non-typers out there watching. I hope you enjoyed tonight's live cast. Catch me down the road again in the future. For what it's worth, we will be looking at the house of Luz Pura or Lucia Pura from Italy. It's called Accendis or Accendis. And you can get these straight out of straight from their website, either from Italy or from France, called Door Perfumes, and these are their real travel decants. Now, don't get fooled, guys. This is not all juice by a country mile. If it were, I'd be going yee. But unfortunately, there's only 8 mils in these bad boys that they're selling you. So, as fantastically large as this spray bottle, which I'll show you how this works if you're curious. It does this, which is pretty cool. You just twist it and that comes up. But these are not cheap. These are $33 a pop. So you really have to make your mind up if you want to sample these scents from Door Perfumes. Lucia Pura Accendis, and we looked at the other night. We looked at the house of Yoko 1954. We looked at Egocentric or I Egocentric. Anyways, check those out if you've got the coin and or the time. That's going to do it, guys. Spray often, spray well. Live life on your terms, not someone else's. Peace out. Love you guys. We are growing the channel day to day, episode by episode. Peace out. Love you guys. Booyah.